Hello, MJ7 NLK here, and in this video we are going to be unboxing the Anytone, ridiculous name coming up, AT-D878UVII Plus radio and updating the firmware and the DMR database on this device. We will cover step by step what you need to do in order to get your device up and running. This is the device. We'll do an unboxing and show you what's inside, and we've also purchased an additional battery, always buy extra batteries, and a Nagoya NA701 antenna, because from reading online it's recommended that that is a really good antenna and will work exceptionally well with the Anytone device. I am not sponsored by Anytone. In fact, I can't even pronounce the name of the company that makes it. It's Qixiang Electron Science and Technology Company Limited, or any retailer selling Anytone equipment. Apologies for the pronunciation, I'm sure I murdered that one. All opinions are my own. I have purchased this device with my own money. No one has editorial control over this video or any information contained within. Let's take a quick look at the main features of the AT-D878UVII Plus before we launch into the unboxing and configuration. This is the new Plus model, which includes DMR roaming, a faster processor and larger memory capacity for future enhancements. The price of this device is £166.63 ex-VAT, or £199.95 including VAT. It has a 1.77-inch colour TFT screen with 160 by 128 pixels. It's a dual-band 144 to 146 VHF in the UK at 7-watt power output, and 430 to 440 UK UHF at 6 watts. The bands are slightly different in the USA, India, and other places. The radio allows for monitoring of 2 bands simultaneously. It has an A and a B VFO, and you can monitor VHF and VHF, UHF and UHF, or VHF and UHF in the different VHOs. It's a DMR radio with full APRS on both receive and transmit, which is super. It has FM radio capabilities, GPS, Bluetooth version 4.2, and the power outputs range from 6/7 watts depending on your band frequency, 4 watts, 2.5 watts and 1 watt. There's 500,000 digital contacts able to be stored on the device. The current database is around 210,000, and the previous model would only store 200,000. There's 10,000 talk groups, 4,000 memory channels. The device comes with either a 2,100 mAh battery or a 3,100 mAh battery, and my device here is 3,100 mAh. It's quoted as 35 hours of runtime. That will be interesting to see if we get anywhere near that. Replacement batteries for the 3,100 mAh, they're really cheap. £19.13 ex-VAT, or £22.95 including VAT. And that, compared to an Icon battery, which is about £65–70, is cheap. Channel spacings, roughly 25 kHz in wideband and 12.5 kHz in narrowband for analog, and 12.5 in digital. The device weighs 282 grams with battery and antenna fitted, although the manual doesn't say whether that's the smaller battery or the larger battery. It does digital voice recording for up to 14 hours. And in the box you get Bluetooth PTT button, programming cable, battery, charging cable, antenna, belt clip and carry strap. So you really do get everything you need within this device. If you buy an Icon device, you basically get the radio and not a great deal else. So it's good to see that Anytone have included most of the accessories you're going to need. Just point out here that there is no memory card expansion on this device, and there is no airband coverage. I want to talk to you now about the DMR contacts database. So for those of you who don't know, the DMR radio contains all of the registered DMR users and their call signs. This comes from an online database, and your device needs to be updated with this information regularly, which is unfortunately a manual process. The file is distributed in a CSV format, and we will look into this further in the configuration stage. The previous model of the AT-D878, I won't do all the rest, all had different memory capacities, and they could store 100,000 digital contacts, and then the later devices 200,000. But as the database has grown, we are now in a position where we've exceeded the 200,000, and those devices will not be able to store the entire database. So the 500,000 future-proofs this radio considerably. You will need to register your license authority's issued call sign in order to register for a digital contact ID. During this process, you will be asked to prove your license status and provide your issued license schedule. You can do this by going to www.radioid.net/account/register #! I don't know why. So let's now do the unboxing. So here we have the box. It's actually quite a nice box compared to the Icon boxes. Now this device here, trying to cover up my serial number a bit there with my finger if I can. It's ticked here for GPS, Bluetooth, and then the two battery options of 2100 and 3100, and this one is ticked as 3100. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what we have inside. We have Anytone stickers, very Apple-like, to include stickers with your device. We have the user manual, which is available online. You can download that as well. And we also have the Bluetooth user guide. Then we're straight into the radio itself. Let's just get that out of the packaging. It's quite a small device, I've got to say. Initial reactions is this is quite small. Okay, just pop that to one side. Now, what else do we get in the box? We get a programming cable, which is great. They're usually another £10 or £20 to buy one of those if they don't include it. We have a USB cable, a belt clip with screws. Oops. Okay, we've got some Velcro, which I imagine is for the Bluetooth PTT button. We have a UK plug, which is nice to see that we don't have to use an adapter. Lanyard or strap. And I think it's fabulous that they've included this desktop rapid charger in with the device. That's really great. The antenna, which comes with the device, and we're going to be using the Nagoya one. We also have this Bluetooth PTT button, push to talk button, which I believe you've got to charge for about an hour and a half before that works, but it will connect via Bluetooth to the device itself. So the only thing I can think we're missing is a battery, which, if we can just get this out, must be in here. Let's just open this up and have a look. It's a chunky battery. There it is. In fact, I'm going to keep that box because the spare battery comes in just a bag, and I think I will keep this in its box somewhere, but essentially it's the same battery. So to connect the battery to the device, you clip it in the bottom, as so, and then push it tight. It's quite a thick unit. It really is quite chunky, but narrow, and it's nice to see that there is a keypad on the front of this. The ID52 ICOM device does not have a keypad, and it would make life a lot easier in keying in frequencies. So let's put the stock antenna on the device, if we can get it out of its wrapping. Now, there are different colour combinations dependent on the versions of these radios. This particular one, the latest one, has a green button here. And the previous models, which don't have the 500,000 database, they have a blue button here, so you can tell the difference between them. But that is that. Let's just see how it fits onto the desktop charger. Very easily and simply goes in. There's no room either side or anywhere else there, so there's no way that they'll do a bigger battery, although this is a very large battery. And that's it for the unboxing. Okay, let's take a look around the device. We have on this side, we have some form of weather sealing going on here. So we have the programming cable, and we've got the microphone and speaker jacks in the side with a rubber cover. So I'm not entirely sure of what the rating is on this for its weatherproof sealing, but I wouldn't want to dunk it in water nonetheless. And on this side we've got the PTT, and we've got two what I would assume would be programmable buttons. On the top we have two dials. One will be for moving frequencies, and the second one will be a click on and volume button. And there we go, the radio is now booting, and it's wanting me to calibrate and confirm. So I will do that off camera. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to download and update the firmware on this device, and I'm going to take you through that screen by screen, so you can see exactly what you need to do. When you turn the device on, you have to go through a setup process, which is rather frustrating because you have to move between the sections by pressing the P1 key, and when it asks you for the date and the time, you cannot use the keypad to enter those values. You have to use this up and down button here in order to select them, and then P1 each time to move between the fields. Now the device is booted up, and we can see the display here. The first two things we really must do is go to menu, scroll down to settings. You want to go to radio set, you go to display, light time, and then set that to 30 or above so it doesn't keep turning off every few seconds. And then if you go to voice function, keytone, and then turn keytone off, select, and we can stop it making that very annoying beeping noise. So that gets rid of two minor annoyances to start with, and we're now going to undertake a firmware update on the device, and I have the Nagoya aerial on. Incidentally, the Nagoya aerial is really quite wobbly compared to the standard one, which is a lot firmer. Okay, let's press on and look at setting up the or updating the firmware. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is head on over to the Anytone website. This is the Anytone website. Go to anytone.net/download.html. You'll notice here that there is a certificate error on their website. The site is not secured. If you follow that information through and have a look, you can see that their certificate expired on the 11th of September 2019, and that the name for the certificate does not match the particular website. So poor show, Anytone, sort your website out. Anyway, let's have a look at the download center. We are looking for the D878UVII version 2.04 official release. So you click on this option to download the file, and we will just save it to our downloads folder and wait for that to download. Now that you have the file, you can close your web browser and then open your Windows File Explorer. The next step is to extract the contents of this file using your current extraction software. So let's just extract them here. And you'll see that there's quite a few folders within this zip file containing various bits and pieces. The first thing you need to do is install the CPS software, which is the software used for interacting and programming with the device. Is to install this program on your computer. So run the setup program, select your language, next. Now it seems to default to D on my machine, so that will need to be changed. So let me just change that folder. So I've changed that to C program files x86. Next, next, create a desktop icon, next, install. And that's it. The next important file is in the FW folder, and it is this file with SPI on the end, which is the firmware file. On your desktop you'll have a new icon that looks very similar to this. Before we open this, you're going to need to put the Anytone device into its firmware update mode, and I'll run you through that now. In order to put the radio into firmware update mode, you have to hold down the green button on the top here, and you need to hold the PTT button on the side, and whilst depressing both of those buttons, sorry, with the radio off, with pressing both of those buttons and keeping them pressed, you need to turn the radio on. And then you'll see that this light here flashes. You can let go of the buttons and the radio is now in firmware update mode. Then you need to connect in the side the programming cable that came in the box. It will only go in one way. Push it in firmly so that it is now connected. And then you need to connect this to your computer and then follow the instructions that I'm about to give. You'll then have a few boxes that appear saying that it's installing a new device, and once that has completed, you can go ahead and double click on the desktop icon. Once the software is opened, you'll see a screen the same as this. Now, if you already have a code plug loaded, you will want to save that to a file so that after the firmware update you can restore your programming, but as this is a brand new radio and we haven't changed anything, I don't need to do that. So the next thing we're going to do is go to the Tools menu, the Firmware and Icon Update, and then we need to select the Open Update File. So we now need to select the firmware file. If you go into the FW folder, you will see the SPI file that we talked about earlier, and you just click on Open. You get a message to say the file opened successfully, or succeeded, however the English translation has happened, and then you'll see some various bits and pieces on the screen. Leave it all as default values, and then just click the right button and say OK, and then this will update the firmware from that file to your radio. So you'll need to be patient and wait for this process to complete. Whatever you do, do not terminate the program or shut your machine down or unplug anything, because you will risk bricking your new device and rendering it completely useless. So you're just going to have to sit this one out. You'll get a message at the end saying write complete, and your radio will automatically start booting, and it will display the Anytone logo and then proceed to boot back to its normal screen. So that's it. You have updated your firmware accordingly, and you're now running the latest version. The next thing I'm going to do is, now it's a brand new radio, we've just updated the firmware, I'm going to take a copy of the settings. You go to the program menu and read from radio, and we'll say we don't want the digital contacts list because we haven't loaded it yet, so we're just going to say OK, and we're going to let that read in all of the settings that exist on the radio. OK, and then we're going to do a file save as and save this file somewhere on the computer. So I'm going to put it here for the moment. And that's it. Keep that file safe just in case you need to restore at any particular point in time. You've updated your firmware and you've saved your settings, so you can now go ahead and start loading your code plug and adding your relevant channels. And in the next section we're going to have a look at how to update the digital contacts database and take that process through. So in order to download the digital contacts database, head on over to ham-digital.org/status, and then once you get there, it's not a very pretty page, but there we are. Scroll down and you want the user list in CSV format. If you click on that and then save that to your machine, that will download the current database. Once the CSV file has downloaded, you can open up your file explorer, and you'll see the users.csv file that's been downloaded. Now you can open this file in Microsoft Excel or equivalent, and when you do, you can see that it is simply a digital ID, the person's call sign, name, and location. And if you jump to the bottom of this sheet, you'll see that there are 209,022 entries currently in this list. So we want to import all of that information into the radio. So this is what we need to do. We need to go back to your desktop. You need to open the software. Then you need to select the tool menu and import. Say OK to the message that it gives you. And then down here you will see digital contacts list. If you click on that and then you click on your downloads folder, select the user's CSV file and click on the import button. That will then proceed to import to the radio that mighty list of users. It doesn't go to the radio, actually goes to the software first. So import is now complete. If you go to digital, you'll now see on the contacts list here, and allow it to load. You'll see the names and the call signs of the relevant people that have been stored into the appropriate slots. So the next thing we need to do is to write this to the radio itself, which we can do by going to the tools menu, the program menu, and write to radio. So let me just double check that my radio is on. It is, and write to radio. Yes, I do. Digital contacts list. OK. And then that will write the information to the radio, which may take a while. So that's it. The file has now written to the device, and it will disconnect, reboot, and start back up again. So you just say OK to the message. You've done what you've needed to do here. You can save this again if you wish. So let's just do config. It's the 29th of December 2021. Oops. And we can click save, and that will save the file that we've just written to the radio. And that's it. Now that process takes approximately 5 to 10 minutes to write to the radio, so you're going to have to just be patient for that. But I've sped the process up using the magic of video editing, so it does take up to 10 minutes for that database to be written to the radio. If you check the folder, the firmware folder where I've been saving these configs, you'll see the original config file here was 20 kilobytes in size, and the one that we've just saved was almost 7 megabytes in size because it contains the contact database. I purchased my AT-D878UVII Plus from Martin Lynch and Sons in the UK. You can get to Martin Lynch and Sons website by going to www.hamradio.co.uk. They've always been amazing, and I cannot recommend them enough. It's a solid little radio, comes with everything you need in the box. Battery life is great, accessories are cheap, APRS send and receive is a game changer for this device. For the money, you really can't go wrong. Anytone have done a great job here. Now, add in a waterfall, AM airband, and a larger and higher resolution screen, and you've got a killer device at this price point. Thank you for watching. I hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you did, then please help the channel out and like this video and subscribe. Always happy to hear from genuine viewers and like-minded hams. Let me know if you have one of these radios and your thoughts and experiences in using it. So until the next video, take care.